pure evil, in my opinion.
I'm unapologetic and I'm unwavering about it. Because when I see this woman, Oprah Winfrey, how do you as a black woman watch another black woman be thrown under the bus based off of a lie? What I won't do is be quiet.
Papa, you're looking at it and you're saying that everything that's wrong with our culture is why I'm a success.
Wow.
So when I actually got a chance to talk to her, she was like, I never thought about it like that.
It's no doubt that OPR Winfrey is a household name, having built a massive empire as a talk show host, television producer, actress, author, and media proprietor, among other things. However, in recent years, her image has begun to suffer. Several people in the entertainment industry, including Jason Momoa, have publicly criticized her. They've accused her of being duplicitous, interfering with people's careers, failing to pay her staff adequately, and generally being difficult without any apparent reason. Because of these allegations, figures like Jason Momoa are keeping the pressure on, hoping to expose what they believe to be her true nature, which they feel has been hidden behind her public persona. Take her show, for example. For decades, OPR has been on TV pushing all sorts of characters onto her show, some legit, some not so much. She's had everything from self-proclaimed miracle workers to straight-up criminals parading across her stage, and she always spun it like she was shedding light on taboo topics, helping out the regular folks tuning in. But as time went on, it became pretty clear that OPR main focus was one thing and one thing only: ratings. She'd bring on these sketchy characters, from con artists to people claiming they had superpowers, all in the name of entertainment. But some of these guests were downright despicable, like John of God, who's currently serving nearly 500 years behind bars for some serious crimes.
Would ever happen. One of the most famous spiritual healers in the world rarely talks to anyone on camera. John of God agreed to sit down with me under a mango tree on the grounds of the casa.
Let's dive in a bit. In December 2018, allegations of A by John of God, whose real name is João Teixeira de Faria, were put forward by 12 women. The number of claims led to the prosecution office of the state of Goiás creating an email address and phone line to receive all accusations towards him. In 30 hours, over 200 complaints were received from 9 different Brazilian states and 2 claims from abroad. Claims were reported by the prosecution's office as having potential to be the biggest SEX scandal in the history of Brazil, overwhelming the Roger Abdelmassi case. Claims included the alleged A of victims as young as 14 years old, as well as a woman who revealed having been AED for 3 days. On the 11th of December, 4 days after the Conversa com Biel show, the number of SA complaints against Faria had reached 206, prompting him to limit his appointments at Casa Dom Inácio de Loyola. Questioned by reporters, he simply said, "I'm innocent," and walked away. On 12th of December, the public prosecutor of Goiás called for the arrest of Faria. On the 16th of December, Faria surrendered himself to the police. The number of SA accusations gradually reached 600. The R word occurred from 1986 to 2017. Faria's daughter Dalva supported the accusers, calling her father and alleging that she was beaten and R-worded by him until she ran away when she was 14 years old. Faria was transferred to a hospital from prison in March 2019. On the 19th of December, he was sentenced to 19 years and 4 months for the R-word of 4 women. He is facing additional cases related to 10 SEX crimes. He was released from prison on house arrest when the COVID-19 pandemic struck in early 2020 due to his age and poor health. And OPR gave this guy a platform. Also, remember when OPR gave airtime to Monique's brother Gerald, who's a convicted felon? Yeah, the same brother who spent over a decade in prison for SAing Monique.
I did assault and inappropriately touch my sister in manners that were not comfortable for her. And for that, I apologize. And I'm humbly sorry.
Not only did OPR put him on blast, but she even blindsided Monique by having their parents on the show too. And get this, these were the same parents who didn't believe Monique when she spoke out about what Gerald did to her. But here's where it gets even messier. Monique spilled the tea on the Club Shay Shay podcast, revealing how her parents tried to sell her story to Barbara Walters. And you know what? Barbara shut them down, recognizing they were trying to cash in on Monique's trauma. But OPR? Oh, she jumped at the chance to bring Gerald on her show. And when Monique confronted her about it, all she got was some half-baked apology about if I did something wrong.
Right.
And I shared with Oprah Winfrey what we were going through and how I felt. And I was, you trying to balance it out because it's your mother. And I shared that with you. And I shared with her my family and what the dynamic was. And you think that that's just okay? And the way you try to apologize in front of a of woman if you think I've done anything wrong.
And that's not even the half of it. Monique's also called OPR out for blackballing her and trying to swipe her roles. Now Monique has been on this crusade, calling out Lee Daniels and OPR Winfrey for what she sees as them messing with her career. It's been brewing for years, but recently she dropped some serious tea on Club Shay Shay. Monique drops a bombshell about how OPR allegedly snatched up roles that were meant for her. Like, remember The Butler? Yeah, it was supposed to be hers, or so she says. Lee Daniels apparently offered it to her, but when OPR expressed interest, well, you can guess who ended up with the part.
Said, Mo, at the time I didn't have no power and I didn't have no money. So when Oprah said she wanted it, so who played the lead role in The Butler? Oprah Winfrey.
And it doesn't stop there. Lee Daniels had this biopic in the works about Richard Pryor, and guess who he wanted to play the grandmother? Monique. But lo and behold, OPR swoops in and claims the role for herself. Now, Monique's not saying OPR intentionally stole these parts, but she's definitely raising some eyebrows about the whole situation. She's like, hey, let's sit down and talk about this, because from where she's standing, it's all looking a bit suspect. And let's not forget about how Monique called out OPR for doing Michael Jackson dirty too. I mean, after the King of Pop passed away, OPR decided it was a good idea to give a platform to his accusers, and Monique was not having it. See, back in '93, when MJ was ruling the entertainment world, he agreed to sit down with OPR for an exclusive interview at Neverland. And let me tell you, OPR fired off all sorts of nosy questions, but MJ's star power helped skyrocket her show's global reach. That interview was like pure magic, thanks to MJ. So you can imagine why Monique felt it was shady for OPR to wait until MJ was gone to give airtime to his accusers, especially considering these accusers changed their stories multiple times and even admitted to lying under oath.
And this man has been gone for over 10 years. And not only is he gone, he was found not guilty.
But OPR defended herself, saying she felt a responsibility to shed light on the pattern of these kinds of crimes and how the victims feel.
Trying to get people to understand that it's not about one person, that it is about the pattern, it is about the seduction.
But a lot of folks thought OPR was talking out of both sides of her mouth because MJ was never found guilty of any of the stuff he was accused of. And here's where it gets even stickier. While OPR was shining the spotlight on MJ's accusers, her buddy Harvey Weinstein was out here doing some seriously messed up stuff. I mean, the guy's locked up doing 39 years behind bars for his crimes. So how come OPR didn't think about giving a platform to Weinstein's victims? Let's do a quick recap for those not in the loop. Harvey Weinstein, big shot American filmmaker, basically became the poster boy for the #MeToo movement. You know, that whole wave exposing SA. So rewind 5 years, and what had been the gossip in Hollywood's back alleys finally went public. News broke with these explosive articles, spilling the tea that Weinstein had been messing with and harassing loads of women for, like, forever. In October 2017, the New York Times and the New Yorker reported that more than a dozen women accused Weinstein of sex harassing, A-ing, or R-wording them. Many other women in the film industry subsequently reported similar experiences with Weinstein, who denied any non-consensual sex. As a result of these allegations, Weinstein was dismissed from his production company, suspended from the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, and expelled from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. He also resigned from the Directors Guild of America and was denounced by leading figures in politics whom he had supported. In 2019, the documentary Untouchable was released with interviews from several of his accusers. The New York County District Attorney's Office charged Weinstein with R, criminal SA, and SEX misconduct for incidents involving two separate women on May 25, 2018. He was arrested the same day after surrendering to the New York City Police Department, NYPD, and released after a $1 million bail was posted on his behalf. He surrendered his passport and was required to wear an ankle monitor, with travel being restricted to New York and Connecticut. His lawyer, Benjamin Brafman, said Weinstein would plead not guilty. A trial date was set for January 6, 2020. On that date, Weinstein was also charged in Los Angeles with R-wording one woman and S-ing another in 2013. On June 8, 2022, Weinstein was formally charged by the Metropolitan Police with 2 counts of indecent A against a woman in London between July 31st and August 31st, 1996. After deliberating for 5 days, a jury convicted Weinstein on February 24, 2020, of 2 of 5 criminal charges, 1 count of criminal SA in the first degree and 1 count of R in the third degree. The jury found him not guilty regarding SA, which could have led to a life sentence. On July 20th, 2021, Weinstein was flown to Los Angeles and taken to the Twin Towers Correctional Facility. The trial in Los Angeles commenced in October 2022. Weinstein was charged with 11 counts of R, forcible copulation, and sex battery, stemming from alleged acts between 2004 and 2013. He was found guilty of 3 of 7 charges. 4 of the initial 11 charges were dropped on December 19, 2022. Convictions included charges of R, forced copulation, and third-degree sex misconduct. On February 23, 2023, Weinstein was sentenced to 16 years in prison for these convictions. His sentence in California prisons must be served separately from, consecutively to rather than concurrently to, his time served in New York. And who can forget the whole drama behind the Color Purple movie? The accusations were flying fast and furious, from getting lowballed on pay to being left practically starving on set. There were even talks that OPR made them trek to set for crazy long hours every day without any security, and they had to squeeze into the same trailer. But wasn't the budget for The Color Purple like a whopping $100 million? Where did all that cash vanish to? How in the world did OPR sign up to produce a project where these talented black actresses were allegedly treated like second-class citizens? Taraji Henson didn't hold back, spilling the tea about unfair pay and almost walking away from the project, The Color Purple. According to her, it was a real battle for several things, from getting a safe ride with a driver instead of a rental car in Atlanta to just having some grub at rehearsals. The rumors are swirling that OPR may have gone off on Taraji and blamed her for causing The Color Purple to flop miserably at the box office. In case you didn't know, the film barely made half of its $140 million budget despite releasing months ago, with a lot of promo. So according to the latest reports, the film already went digital due to its horrible performance at the box office, and all the producers are now supposedly blaming Taraji and all that she said at the promotional tour, causing the movie to fail. Now, when Taraji initially started speaking out and calling out the BS OPR and the producers of the movie put her through, OPR tried to do some damage control, but none of that really worked out. Because according to sources, some Hollywood executives and OPR are already planning to blackball Taraji for making them lose so much money as a result of the bad publicity that she gave the movie with all of her rants about pay inequality. You'd assume that with Taraji, a seasoned pro with more than 2 decades in the game and a trophy case full of awards, fair pay wouldn't be a battle, especially in a flick like The Color Purple, where OPR is wearing the producer hat. But Taraji spilled the tea that OPR didn't exactly go to bat for her or the other leading ladies when it came to the paycheck. According to Taraji, the initial offer was downright disrespectful, and the big shots refused to budge until she laid down the ultimatum of walking away from the whole project. Taraji, a force to be reckoned with, had to throw down to get what she deserved, and Taraji is over it. She's had enough of the constant hustle for what's rightfully hers. In a recent heart-to-heart with OPR BFF, Gayle King, Taraji spilled the beans and hinted that she might just throw in the acting towel for good. Why? Because she's straight up tired of the never-ending battle for fair pay. So Gayle tried to keep it light, but Taraji wasn't playing around. The conversation got real when Taraji opened up about the ongoing struggle for fair pay that black actress, even veterans like herself, still face in the industry. Gayle, doing her best to navigate through the discomfort, kept nodding and repeating that she gets what Taraji is laying down. But Taraji was having none of it. She dropped the bomb that she's seriously considering hitting the brakes on acting altogether. Why? Because she's tired. Tired of busting her, being all gracious in her craft and still getting paid peanuts. Taraji spilled, "The math ain't May-thing." Every time she smashes through a glass ceiling, it's like she never did it when the paycheck talks come around again. Taraji broke it down, saying she wants to fight for the up-and-coming actresses, be a voice for the next generation, but she's stuck in a loop of not getting what she deserves herself. It's a frustrating cycle, and you can hear the exhaustion in her voice as she explained, "I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired." She's not just fighting for herself, she's trying to pave the way for those coming up behind her. Taraji also threw some serious shade at OPR for making the cast roll up to set in rented cars day in and day out. These actors are pulling insane hours, like we're talking 12 to 15 hours a day. So by the time they wrap up, they're practically and now they gotta hit the road in that state. It's a recipe for disaster and raises the odds of accidents big time. And no security, driving in the dead of night, risking getting jacked. Plus, those rental cars aren't even theirs, so any dings or scratches is on the actors. In a New York Times interview, Taraji spilled even more tea about how they were treated on The Color Purple set. She straight up said the producers wanted everyone to show up to work in rental cars until she put her foot down. Taraji was like, "Hold up, I can't be driving myself to set in Atlanta. This is an insurance liability. It's dangerous." She didn't stop there. She demanded a driver or security, and not just for herself. She told them, "If you're doing it for me, you gotta do it for everybody." But wait, there's more. During those grueling 12 to 15-hour shifts, they weren't even getting fed or hydrated. Allegedly, they had to bring their own food from home just to survive the day. Also, we can't forget about Dave Chappelle in this OPR saga. Dave rolled up on her show to spill the beans on why he turned down a whopping $50 million offer from Comedy Central and dipped to Africa. He was trying to explain that big money deals isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They come with some serious strings attached. But OPR wasn't letting Dave off the hook that easy. She kept pressing him, trying to make him admit he went off the deep end. OPR hit him with questions like, "Colleagues reported you became increasingly paranoid. Would you say you were paranoid?" And Dave, being the legend he is, responded with, "Sure. What's a black man without his paranoia? You win $100 and you're still looking over your shoulder on the subway."
Colleagues were quoted as saying that you had become increasingly paranoid. Would you say you were paranoid?
Sure. First of all, what is a black man without his paranoia intact?
OPR, not letting up, asked if Dave went to a psychiatric hospital in South Africa. Dave, with his signature wit, was like, "Who?" OPR, persistent as ever, kept pushing, and Dave laid it out. People around him were pushing for him to take antipsychotic meds, but OPR brushed it off like it was no big deal, repeating that Dave was just stressed and paranoid.
So did you go to a psychiatric hospital?
In South Africa?
Yeah.
Who?
Dave wasn't having it, though. He spilled more tea, talking about how folks were trying to get him on meds, and he wasn't having any of that control game. He straight up said, "I'm not taking this medicine, man, because I know these people be trying to control you or maybe discredit you. I was afraid." OPR, sticking to her narrative, insisted he was just stressed. Dave kept it real, saying, "No question. But it's very stressful for someone to constantly walk behind you and say you're insane."
Right, like,
But you were stressed out. That's why.
There's no question. But it's very stressful for someone to constantly walk behind you and say, "You're insane."
The whole thing was like a chess match, and Dave wasn't playing OPR game. The man had his reasons for bouncing, and he wasn't letting anyone mess with his head. Now, some people are saying that the reason OPR was trying to paint Dave as crazy was because she could be part of those people who worked behind the scenes against him. The thing is, when he turned down that boatload of cash and walked away from Chappelle's show, it wasn't just about his career. It was a statement about the messed up dynamics of the industry, especially when it comes to humor, race, and how you're perceived. Back in 2004, Dave Chappelle was doing a stand-up gig in Sacramento, and things got real. You know that whole "I'm Rick James B" catchphrase from his show? Well, the audience kept yelling it out, and it kind of got under his skin. He even took a break from the stage to vent about how the show was messing with his life. Turns out, he wasn't feeling the crazy work hours, and how the show's success was taking over his whole vibe, especially since he wanted to focus more on his stand-up gigs. Chappelle didn't hold back either. He straight up said the network suits didn't get why people liked his show, calling them out for thinking the audience was dumb. But then, he had a real moment of honesty, admitting he misjudged things by saying, "You people are..." He said, "You know why my show is good? Because the network officials say you're not smart enough to get what I'm doing, and every day I fight for you. I tell them how smart you are. Turns out I was wrong. You people are..." And then, just when everyone was gearing up for season 3 to drop in 2005, Chappelle threw everyone for a loop by bouncing during production and jetting off to South Africa. In interviews later on, he opened up about feeling unsatisfied with where the show was heading and needing some serious downtime to figure things out while dealing with a ton of stress. He said, "Coming here, I don't have the distractions of fame. It quiets the ego down. I'm interested in the kind of person I've got to become. I want to be well-rounded, and the industry is a place of extremes. I want to be well-balanced. I've got to check my intentions, man." So, after Dave Chappelle bounced from his show, people started gossiping like crazy, speculating all kinds of reasons for his exit. Some tabloids were throwing around ideas about or mental health issues, which totally went against what Chappelle himself had been saying about why he left. But here's the deal. By walking away from the show, Chappelle had to kiss goodbye to a massive $50 million contract with Comedy Central. And then there's 50 Cent. He's been calling out OPR for a hot minute, accusing her of shady moves, especially when it comes to black actors. He straight up accused her of throwing black actors under the bus while protecting the with a lighter skin tone. Back in the day when 50 Cent was hitting the big time with his music, he had dreams of making an appearance on OPR's show. This wasn't just about boosting his image from a Queens ex-dealer to a successful rapper, it was also about making his grandma super proud, who happened to be a big OPR fan. But when he pitched the idea to OPR, she shut him down cold, making it clear she wasn't interested in anything 50 Cent had going on. 50 took this rejection to heart and accused OPR of being against black music, especially the kind he was making. He even took his trolling game up a notch by naming his dog after OPR and his cat after OPR ride or die, Gayle King. 50 Cent also threw some serious shade OPR way, calling her an Oreo black on the outside, but supposedly aligned with the white perspective on the inside. This all started when OPR came at 50 for his raw lyrics, claiming he and others were pushing negativity onto the culture. But 50 wasn't having it. He hit back, shining a light on what he perceives as OPR's split stance. According to him, she started with black women's views, but shifted gears to cater to middle-aged white American women for so long that she's basically become one herself. This whole situation is wild, right? But we want to hear what you think. Is OPR really the monster she's being made out to be? And who else might have gotten tangled up in her mess? Leave your thoughts down below, and we'll see you in the next video.